Good morning, everyone, and welcome. We are ready. We are ready to emerge in a fantastic webinars and to introduce you a couple of very motivating speakers. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Johan Henderson, the owner and chair of FERD, whose initiative, the FERD'S List, together with JA Europe, recognize inspirational young entrepreneurs and leaders. Those are individuals who, in the same words of Johan, are inspirational innovators. They are those who create values and leave a lasting footprints. Well, Europe needs entrepreneurs. Europe needs role models. Europe needs tech giants and unicorns. So without further ado, I'm sure that at the end of this webinar, we'll try at least to give few solutions and be of inspiration for many young people who are now watching these webinars on all of JA Europe social media. So without further ado, Johan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Salvatore. And it's kind of a new experience, but it's kind of in the mode, in the mood with the theme of today that we're actually doing this digitally. Part of being on the FERD'S list and joining the rest of the group is, of course, to be together, but that will have to be postponed. Today, we are here to show you and celebrate and indeed talk to 3 of this year's FERD'S List honorees. And as we go through the 3 webinars, you will see that at least they have one thing in common, and that is that they have all early on had an entrepreneurial experience that shaped them, that made them take different choices, hopefully better choices for themselves, for their families, their communities, their countries, hopefully indeed for the world. But it's that first experience that they all share. And we will have 3 of these webinars. There are 8 honorees, mostly from Europe, but also from Africa and the United States this year. And they will all have a chance to share both their experiences and give insights into specific topics. And today's topic is, what will it take for Europe to have more tech unicorns? Well, I know we have some, and indeed there are many up and coming companies that in themselves are very valuable, both locally and regionally. But still, we need to strive to have more successful companies. So today we will have 3 people: Jonas Ahola from Finland, Todor Gegliev from Bulgaria, and Manusher Shamisi from Germany. And as usual, we're also joined by at least one. I wouldn't call her a former honoree, because once you're honoree on the FERD'S list, you're on the FERD'S list forever. But she was introduced to the FERD'S list a few years back, namely Brynhild Vinskei from Norway. So welcome everyone. And now let's have an introduction of the first 3 distinguished honorees from this year.
Hello everyone, it's Jonas Ahola, the CEO and founder of Meeting Package. I took part in Junior Achievement Company of the Year program in 2005 and 2006. Without any family background in entrepreneurship, Junior Achievement allowed me to jump into the deep end of the pool and to try my wings as an entrepreneur. Junior Achievement has allowed me to grow my professional network as well as keeping the attitude of learning by doing. The FERD'S list includes many great inspirational young leaders and entrepreneurs, and it's a privilege to be part of this year's list. At Meeting Package, our vision is to make meeting room bookings as easy as booking hotels. Our goal is to hold the largest meeting room inventory globally. But as all of you know, nothing can be done alone, and therefore this recognition wouldn't be achieved without the network and team that I get to work on a daily basis with. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Todor Digilev, and I am CEO and partner in Dreamix. Dreamix is a software technology company, and we build products for banks, for insurance, for digital health, and we're more than 100 people in technology and innovation. And this passion around innovation and building new products, solving big problems, came from junior achievements. I still remember the passion of our mentors, of our teachers, and how they inspired us doing business. So I thought, I want to become an entrepreneur, and I want to help the younger generation just how they did. I'm really excited to be part of FERD'S List, and I really enjoy being around successful people and all the rest of the group. And in my spare time, I'm also running a club of successful entrepreneurs in Bulgaria called Power of DG. What's really unique is that it's all of these people are socially engaged and they're helping to foster a better innovation system and solve challenges that we're seeing in the 21st century.
Hello, friends and fellow entrepreneurs. This is Manu Shamsrizi, Manu, a junior alumnus from Germany, and I'm talking to you and I'm sending greetings from Hamburg, one of the most ancient cities of trade and business in Europe. In fact, the Hanse connected us very early on with the rest of Europe and also specifically the Nordics, which is why I'm very happy and pleased and honored to be on the FERD'S List 2020, a fascinating initiative. I'm very thankful for the support that comes with it. And I'm very much looking forward to meet as many of you as possible in our upcoming webinar in other occasions to discuss the issues close to my heart, like how does the digital transformation, how can we shape it in a just way? How can technology make the world a better place? And what role does entrepreneurship, social entrepreneurship, impact investing, and all these aspects, what role does this play? And how can we use it as really tools of our generation? Thank you.
Okay. I guess we're all back. Nice to see you guys and girls again. Thank you for being here. Now, there's one question that I think several of you mentioned. I'm going to try to pick that up, although it's not in the manuscript, and that is the link between societal gains, social causes, and technology. You know, that I think Manu, you mentioned it, the tool of our generation type of thing. But we can start with something else. Let's start in the north. Let's start with you, Jonas. So yeah, the Finland, I mean, it's really the envy of many other countries when it comes to developing tech entrepreneurs. So how do you sort of build on your experience from JA in the Finnish tech sector, or in the global one for that matter?
Yes, hi everyone, Jonas here. To be honest, Finland is a great place to start always a business. Of course, there's pros and cons in being in a small country in that respect, but in general, the ecosystem in Finland is really supportive and gives a lot of possibilities for you to try things out early days, because first of all, you can try innovative things here without the actual world knowing it, which is one positive thing. So you can fail and try out things here, and then once you actually find the niche, you can then start scaling it globally. And of course, scaling in Europe / globally can be done even from Finland, even though we're a small country in that sense. And also the fact that Finland is, since it's small, it's really net connected, and we have one of the best events, for example, for startups like Slush, which used to be an event in October, December, roughly, in Finland, gathering around startup companies around the world, and one of the largest ones in Europe, which of course now also has, due to the pandemic, changed to a digital environment like we are now here. And supporting, again, organizations around the world to find investments, find partnerships, and grow their team with passionate entrepreneurs and team members.
Great. Is there any sort of particular, I don't know, moment, experience, memory, meeting, I don't know, feeling from your GIA experience that you have sort of brought with you, that you use it as an example, or as a, I don't know, as a tool, as a something?
I think that's one of the things that I try to kind of push everyone within our team also, is the learning by doing mentality, which kind of came to me from JEA. Kind of, I didn't have any entrepreneurial background, etc. And JEA, the kind of Company of the Year program, gave me the possibility of trying things, and then kind of understanding the possibility that you can try things without knowing them, and you can learn them by doing them. And that's kind of what we encourage everyone within our company also, is to just go for it. If you have an idea, go for it, try it out, and then let's, based on the results, decide, should we proceed with it, or should we accelerate it, or just kill it. A little bit the similar way as, let's say, gaming companies like which are building app games and so forth, like Supercell, is that they have a lot of silos within their company, and maturity of the ideas never see the daylight, but you're still encouraged to innovate and try out things.
Excellent. So in your mind, what are we missing? Why aren't we scaling more companies into becoming unicorns, tech unicorns in Europe?
Well, that's a good question. I think we're actually, if you compare what it used to be, we're heading to the right direction at least. There's more funding available in Europe, even though it's not even close yet to, let's say, the US side. But compared to the, let's say, 10 years back, 15 years back, there's new funds opening up all the time with different focus areas and niches. There's more unicorns coming up here in the Nordic region and in Europe in general. So I think we're getting there. We're going to the right direction, but I think it's the matter of funding and the understanding that kind of in Europe, there are much ways also now, due to digital transformation, the possibility to grow companies and also take unicorns, as we call it, even within Europe, not to even mention companies that can even go beyond, let's say, US and Asia, APAC region.
Great, thanks. Thanks for those insights. Let's switch to you, Todor. As a young European tech entrepreneur, do you do you share some of Jonas's views, or how do you see it from Bulgaria? I mean, are European entrepreneurs, are they encouraged to become tech entrepreneurs, or is or what's the general feeling from your side when it comes to the mood or the support for people who are thinking in entrepreneurial mindsets?
First of all, thank you for inviting me in FERD'S List and also being on this webinar. And I completely agree that actually it's a long journey. And when I first graduated Junior Achievements, the entrepreneurial and especially tech ecosystems in Bulgaria, it was like very small chunk. And very few people will think about starting a new product, a digital product, and seeing it like they want to scale it up to your unicorn position. And then we could see that Junior Achievement added a lot of value to the younger generation. And people like me, people like everybody who took part in the organization, they actually started dreaming. And once you have a dream of becoming an entrepreneur, also being a tech entrepreneur and going in this direction, the rest of it, we have so much information that you can easily find it and you can easily start applying. But what I'm really seeing is companies struggling in order to scale up and reach all these big valuations. For me, it's the fragmented market. And actually what we can see is that we don't have a single unified market like in the States, whereas we have many countries that are doing innovation locally. And because Europe is still not a unified market, that's why we cannot scale it so easy as the people in the US. So what I believe is that initiatives like FERD'S List and also Junior Achievement as a whole is really helping about this, because now we're a group where we can start talking together, we can start doing common initiatives, and then we can bring our markets closer. And thus, when we do a single product, we can apply it on all the different markets.
Yeah, good. Do you think there? Bulgaria, I think, has benefited a lot from becoming, closer to the rest of Europe. But do you see any sort of policy changes or issues that that could be undertaken on a European basis, be it in the entrepreneurial system or in the funding system, or something that I guess you mentioned some of them already, but is there something perhaps in the education system that we're missing?
First of all, I would say that Bulgaria greatly benefited from becoming part of the EU. So we're one of the member states that were least to join. But since we joined, there has been so much improvement. And I would say that especially in the entrepreneurial field, we could see, for example, now we have the fund of funds. So it's like this big fund that is funded by the European government and the EIF. And then we have the funds that would apply, and the best fund managers would actually get the funding and distribute it to the companies. So actually around 8 or 9 years ago, we could see the first funds that started working in Bulgaria. So they were seed stage, and they made huge difference in the landscape. And these were the first investors to actually support companies in the very early stages. And before that, it was just private angel investments. But now, once we've got the funds, it's completely different. And after the big successes of the first cohort of startups that got investment, then we're seeing the second and the third wave. And we already see people that started, made it big in the Bulgarian ecosystem. So they made huge exits. And the best thing is that these people reinvest their money. And we already see like private funds and public funds or funds supported by the EU working together to build the future entrepreneurs and the future unicorns. And I would say that here in Bulgaria, we have this heritage from communism, which is the only good heritage that I see. It is actually that we're very good in technology. And this is because back in the years, we were producing the computers for the Soviet bloc. And that's a good heritage. But what we lacked really was this business and marketing mindset, which was slowly built up. And I would say that legislations that are around how to help more people, like the younger generation, being involved in European initiatives that give access to more information, access to bigger markets. I would say that any programs also, not just legislation, but programs in this direction where people from the eastern part of Europe can join in the western part and work together. I would say that this will help tremendously, because there are great innovations coming from Bulgaria, but they are usually staying local and very few make it to the global market. And I believe we have plenty of things to offer.
Excellent, thanks, Todor. Now let's switch to you. It's Manu, right? We're using. Good. I think you got 3 different pronunciations of your name flying around the web. So anyway, good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Do you agree with what's been said so far, or what's your take on your spin on the first 2 fellow list honorees here?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure, as I said. And by the way, that's how my glasses look when they are not automatically reacting to sunlight. So the mafia look in the video I sent in was not intended at all. Yeah, I agree. For example, what we just heard from Todo about the unified European single market, that is a policy issue, of course, and one that has been in debates for many years. But if we would have such a digital unified European single market, that of course would be of help for many entrepreneurs, especially I believe in future markets like healthcare and energy, so markets that are highly regulated for good reasons by states and others, but that makes it even more complicated to scale up in innovation if even the neighbor country has a different regulation. And of course, as entrepreneurs, we usually don't have the resources to handle that different regulations that, let's say, a big DAX company would have. And I also believe that what we heard, that is something I agree to. I think what we need more is some, let's put it this way, some transsectoral mindset as well. I think if we want to see more unicorns, we could debate if that's a good thing. I hear a lot about zebras as well. We should target to become. But if we want to see more unicorns, I think we also need to empower more people to become founders. That has a diversity aspect. I think we need to get better in Europe. And JI is doing incredible work when it comes to that, in making it, in getting more female founders to start the company. We need more introverts. We need more migrants. But for example, when it comes to unicorns, we also need more deep tech founders. That would be scientists, and there we need a better transsectoral approach to allow young scientists. I mean, we are a university spin-off ourselves, so I see that with many colleagues. It is difficult to stay within your academic scientific career and start a company. That is easier in the Anglo-Saxon world, and I think that is where future unicorns will come from deep tech. So we should become better in allowing these people to turn their scientific success into startups without having to give up their career as scientists, which many won't do, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. But in the educational system as such, do you see any improvements that could be done in terms of giving people the same experience that you've had? I mean, it's not, what's the sell-in? You might say, we only reach, actually we reach more than 4 million people and more students every year in Europe, but still there's, I don't know how many we're lacking, Salvatore, but there are still millions to go, right? So what's, Manu, what would you sell as the big, the very short pitch to policymakers to make this educational or entrepreneurial experience more accessible in terms of what you just said? I mean, in the actual desire to take it into to change
right.
for the society.
To be honest, this would be two things, I guess, and at least one of it would be very counterintuitive, maybe, but I'm happy to explain why I come up with that. The counterintuitive of these 2 points would be we should convince and argue in this direction that adding entrepreneurial or entrepreneurship as a career choice, as a mindset, as we heard by my fellow honorees, and I totally agree with that doesn't take anything away from our education system. As I said, that sounds counterintuitive, but I remember our time at a so to say very kind of ancient gymnasium, grammar school here in Hamburg that has been building up its reputation as a school focusing on classical music for decades. And I remember discussing with teachers. Of course, we had one or two that were really supportive, but we also had discussions with teachers and the school's leadership on do we really want the market, so to say, the potentially dangerous and evil forces of capitalism? Do we want them in our humanistic, classical music focused school? If the approach would be you can have both, there's nothing taken away from sports, from natural science, from music, from the humanistic idea of education, but the whole belief of entrepreneurship as a career choice comes on top, or even empowers all the other things to be turned into real impact. You know, in philosophy, there's the story of Thales von Milet, a Greek philosopher, who at some point, when people said, why do you study philosophy, why you don't become an entrepreneur, the next year he studied nature. He came up with a method to understand that when it will rain, and he bought many equipment that people who are entrepreneurs in the oil business needed to work on their fields, and he sold it back with a big gain, but not because he wanted to earn money, just to show that if you want to have an entrepreneur, that would be our words today, I guess, that is not either entrepreneurship or a natural science, for example, but it both helps each other. So that is one point. We need to make sure that nobody's afraid of entrepreneurship because it is correlated in many people's minds in education, I guess, with scandals and you know. And the second thing I believe would be, we talked about that earlier today, role models. So in Germany, for example, and that is also would be another aspect to how to get to more unicorns. We, of course, in many European countries have that, the Nordics as well, I guess. We have very strong family-owned businesses. And I think that getting people maybe from the next generation of family-owned companies to show how interesting and how impactful entrepreneurship can be, that would be of huge value, because that's a role model that's different from let's say someone from the top management of a Standard & Poor's 500 company, because of course these people are brilliant managers, but they might not be entrepreneurs. They might be intrapreneurs, but that's a different take, I guess. So more diverse role models would help us to make a more diverse audience in the school understand that entrepreneurship can be for me as well, and it's not only for fill in who has been the role model so far.
Excellent, Manu. We'll circle back to this year's honorees. Now let's bring in Brynhild, who is actually also who has the honor of actually bringing me into JA in the first place. That's a long story, but anyway. So thank you for that. So you've had more impact than you actually you would just by that little pitch. So Brynhild, it's been a few years since you were first put on the list. So you've as I mentioned, or as Sal also mentioned initially, this is not only about people who become entrepreneurs, it's people who become sort of have multiple career paths and may switch between being entrepreneurial, being pure entrepreneur, being a pure professional, being a C-suite, you know, whatever. So where are you, or what's happened since you got on the list? For those of you who remember that, I think it's only 3-4 years ago, so it's no big deal.
Yes, thank you, Johan. Well, since I got on the list, when I got on the list, I was CMO of a tech company in Holland called 24i Media, and they do video streaming applications. So that was very interesting. And now I'm at head of global marketing at EPOS, it's called. It's an audio company previously known as Sennheiser Communications. And we sell audio headsets or headsets and speakerphones for the enterprise market. And actually we launched or we demerged from Sennheiser January 1st this year. So we're currently on a journey of launching a new brand called EPOS. So that's why not a lot of people know about us. So it's very much building a company in a way, even though we as a company have been existing for 16 years. So it's not a new company, but how we work at the moment is very much focused on being a new company, and the journey we are on is going really fast, and our growth is exceptional at the moment, also because of Corona, of course, has been giving us a very big growth in many areas. So I think for me, I've taken on a long career journey in that way. And when you guys talked about unicorns and what it takes to make unicorns, I think one aspect, of course, is to make more founders, as has been mentioned. But for me, it's also very much about having a team of people with an entrepreneurial mindset. And that's really important here at EPOS, for instance, where we're on this journey to build a new brand. In general, it's important that everyone we recruit to join this journey has an entrepreneurial mindset. And with that, I mean that there are people who are solution-oriented, who learn by doing, who take a setback as a learning and learn from it and not feel defeated. And it's people that overcome challenges in general and are focused, creative, look at solutions, in general. So I think if unicorns today have, of course, founders that are entrepreneurial, they also need a team of people with an entrepreneurial mindset. And for me, that was clearly something that was unlocked when I had the company program back in 2002, I believe, in Norway. Before that, I were on a very different career path. So I owe my career and where I am today to JA, and also kind of what I learned from myself and the skills I actually have and what I really want to work with. So, yeah.
Thank you. Have you seen any trends, any strengthening of any sort of values or any needs? You mentioned a lot of what you think are requirements. But do you think, have we progressed as rapidly in the educational system or in our mindset as technology has? I mean, do we keep up in a sense?
No, I don't think we do. I think technology is developing really fast, especially the last year. I think we need to speed up a bit on the educational side as well, so we can get more entrepreneurial mindset in there. I think there's still huge growth opportunities for JA in that sense, and for just for the future of work, for the future of our company, but for the future of Europe, I think we definitely need a lot more entrepreneurial mindseted people.
Great, thank you. And I'm just going to quickly on that note, FERD'S List is also, in a sense, a truly European project, because I wanted to show the sort of the multitude, the diversity, the strength, both in numbers, but also in different geographical and different cultural backgrounds in Europe. So I actually wanted to make FERD'S List a case for Europe, you might say, as we know there are certain I don't know, values, political parties pulling in different directions. So this, I wouldn't call it's a political statement, but it's certainly a value statement in bringing you on FERD'S List. Now, let's bring everyone back into the show. From here on and another 10 minutes or so, we're going to have, let's bring the discussion open. I'm just going to kick in one question, and I'll just throw it in, and whoever can grab it. What's the link, in a sense, beyond the actual call it value for society, value in terms of money and funding and jobs? What's some of the take homes that you've seen where technology has been the driver of call it equality, diversity, bringing in people from the outside? Somebody talked about more nerds. We like nerds, actually. They're only nerds. But so maybe Manu, you were saying something about along those lines. If you can sort of give us a little bit starting point for that discussion.
The starting point is all I can do, but I'm happy to try. And then I can, funny enough, build up on what Brynhild just said about the role of JA, because I think if you look, for example, at the SDGs, which is something many of us do. I for myself, I have been highly impacted by the work of Muhammad Yunus, the Nobel Peace Prize laureate, who sees business and entrepreneurship as a way to positively impact society. And then the question arises: how do we get there? We all know we need to speed up to make it happen over the next years. Deadline is 2030 for the SDGs. So the question is, how do you scale up the technological solutions that we have? And to be honest, I think most of us would agree, entrepreneurship and startups are pretty good in scaling up. So once you have a business model that, for example, ours is in healthcare, if you grow your business model, you grow your impact, and that's when technology, the power of entrepreneurship to grow and the impact on society comes together. But to get there, and that's my main point, even if I'm repeating myself, because it's close to my heart, we need a more diverse group of founders. How do we get there? Well, the sooner we tell everybody that they can become an entrepreneur, the better. If that's only done at business schools, you already lost everybody who did an undergrad, for example, in tech, in architecture or whatsoever. And that is really, I believe, the if I would need to do that short pitch again, that's the main impact of JA, to tell everybody, look, once you found something that you want to scale up, keep in mind that your own startup is an approach to do that, and a pretty cool one as well. And then it sticks to your mind. And years later, I saw that with many people, you've studied something totally different. You found a solution, like a friend of mine in Berlin is working on quantum technology things at university, and we discussed a few weeks ago, and he said we could solve this problem in renewable energies. And I was like, well, start a startup about it. And he sat down, he was like, that's interesting. I never thought about that. I thought we're going to pitch that to others, and these big corporations will turn that into a business model. So JA can give that startup approach to people, to have it in mind, and then years later, boom, there's your chance to make your own business and impact on society happen. But if nobody has told you that you can do the startup, you won't have that as an opportunity. And the business schools, that's too late. There's too much of a self-selection already happened at that point. So systematically, JA tells it at an age in biographies, at a stage in biographies where it has the biggest impact. That's why I'm such a big fan.
Thanks. So, just get into Todor, please.
I want to build upon what Manu just said, and I completely agree with the topic of diversity. And usually when we talk about diversity, we think about cultural diversity, gender diversity, but we forget to talk about age diversity. And I want to talk about age diversity in entrepreneurship and also the cross-section with impact entrepreneurship. So I did a small experiment, and in the Power of BG community that I'm running together with friends, it's around 60 successful entrepreneurs that have also high social values. So it's not only in this community, but also other people. And I asked them, what do you think about the sustainability goals of the United Nations? And it was very obvious that elder entrepreneurs, it's not in their agenda. They just don't think about it. Why? Because they have created business that started 20, 30 years ago, and nobody was talking about global warming. Nobody was talking about sustainability, pollution, protecting wildlife. And these things are coming just on the agenda. And the older generation, it still thinks about improving processes. It still thinks about digitalizations, but we are running out of time. And when I'm talking to younger people, they have all those ideas that are really viable ideas of how do we combat all these problems that we'll face as humanity just in the coming years. And we're already facing. We lost our biodiversity like 60% in less than 50 years. And then these young people, they have the ideas, but they don't have the resources, they don't have the skills, and they are discriminated. Because let's face it, if you see two people pitching and one is elder than the other, you'll always give more credit to the elder person. So here is the value of junior achievements. The junior achievement is giving the tools of these young entrepreneurs, so they can actually turn their idea into reality, into real business. And I believe that first of all, junior achievement programs in school and university, they should be widely accessible, even on a larger scale. I think everything that JA has been doing so far is great, but I think that it should be even on governmental level, it should be just there, no matter what. Like everybody should have access to these programs because they're invaluable. Otherwise, people are just learning some dumb subjects in school. We just give them information and nothing actionable. And then the next thing I believe should be there is also an alumni fund, because these people already have the ideas and the skills, but they need the extra resources in order to put it in action. Otherwise, we're again like just rolling in the textbooks. So, for example, what I've seen in Denmark is that if somebody graduates university and they want to start business, they would receive, I believe it was around 30K funds just to start the business. And then we see good examples also in the UK. In the UK, people can offset their taxes by investing as an angel investor in a young company that is innovative. So I think we need those funds. We need them to support the Junior Achievements alumni, so we can see more young entrepreneurs entering, doing great. And I'm finishing up with an example, because we held our annual meeting of Power of Bulgaria just before 2 weeks, and there was a great example of a young person who is 24 years old. He came from a school which is like a school in a city that nobody wants to see their kids learning there and studying there. It's not a good school. This person already has a business that is making around several million profits, and he's 24.
Thank you. Jonas, any impression?
Yeah, we continue to the Todor's last comments regarding kind of where JA is left off, so to say, and kind of JA is doing a lot of things, but we need to also understand that JA cannot do everything alone either. So first of all, getting access to the kind of education and the learning by doing and all of the different programs that JA has is really, really great. But I think we should also look at a few steps forward, what happens after the JA programs, so that the innovation doesn't kind of stop to the wall. And I think now we're living in a critical time, in a sense that there's a lot of possibilities for impact, to create innovations that impact on society and impactful entrepreneurships and so forth during these times of pandemic, because there's people actually know now what are the problems that are happening in the, let's say, the ecosystem in general. And that's where, let's say, young entrepreneurs have the possibility to create now companies out of scratch without any legacy of, let's say, historical tractions or historical business models, as Honore said, and kind of have the possibility to innovate on top of these pandemics and to start the growth from here. And I believe that's kind of where we should also encourage as entrepreneurs and the JA and in general, young people now to really jump to the deep end of the pool and like try their wings and start innovating and continuing from there. But we still need to support them after the kind of JA experience. I don't have answers how that will be done, but there's, like, as Todor said, establishing funds or whatsoever, is that we need to have some kind of a supporting mechanism after the JA that continues still years to come.
Yes.
Johan, if I may, well, normally a CEO's role is to inspire the people of the organization. It's kind of different, JA, because I got the inspiration from the stories that I'm hearing from the alumni that have gone through this program. So my role is much easier in that case, and it fuels really my passion for this organization by listening to all of you. I would add one element that you also touched upon about diversity. And this related to technology. What we are seeing it during this COVID pandemic is, number one, JA can reach out to more people, especially those who are outside mainstream programs, and especially those who are not normally in urban areas where our volunteers normally are. Because through technology, we can really go also to rural areas. We can also go to areas which are socio-economically depressed and offer those opportunities of learning and this entrepreneurship mindset to the young people who are there. But if we look to the extra mile, so what happens next after the JA programs is completed, we have a great opportunity now, thanks to technology, which is we can allow for local talents wherever they are to access to global jobs. This is something that is a significant shift, no matter if you are in developed countries, in a less developed countries, and middle income countries, and inside that countries, if you are in an urban or rural areas, your talent can be recognized and you can work from home. This pandemic is showing that many jobs can be done from home for a global company and for a global entrepreneur. So I think there is also where we want to aim at JA to make these links even more strong.
Thank you, Sal. Some last thoughts, Brynhild, before we wrap up?
Well, I think what has been said is music in my ears, especially how JA has impacted everyone's life here. And I think it's the 3 people here on the first list this year is a real proof of how JA has impacted their life. And I believe that there's some unicorns amongst us here, maybe not today, but in the future, I'm pretty sure. So I think the future looks bright, but I think we still have a lot to do, and we need to continue to support JA to make sure that we get to where we want to be.
Thank you, Brynhild. Thank you, everyone. I hope those of you who are listening and watching understands now what the value of JA is. These 4 people is only the tip of a very strong pyramid, you might say. They have been nominated among millions. So they are, I wouldn't call them truly special in the sense that they represent millions more than they represent themselves in that sense. And they represent the efforts of thousands of teachers, volunteers, and private individuals, companies who've actually contributed and contribute every day, even during the pandemic. So I hope you're eager for more because there's 2 more webinars coming up. So thank you for joining today, and I now leave it to Sal to sort of to wrap it up and show us the way.
Can I add something? before everything. So if someone's listening, because we know that it's all on social media and so on and YouTube, just building up on what Jonas said and Todo said, please reach out to us if you have questions, or if we can help with any resource or network or so on. I think all of us are accessible, and it's there's no negative aspect of reaching out. That's something I learned over the years.
Yeah, good point, Manu. FERD'S List is also just a flip part of the envelope of the huge, really archive, you might say, of networks that people can access to understand, to learn, to find their way. So yeah, very good point, Manu. Will
I want to add also last point. There's very interesting statistic that if you have an international team of entrepreneurs starting a business, their chances of success are twice higher compared to if people are just from the same country. And I would love to see more people from the JA network, alumni network, collaborating together. And I think that this COVID pandemic and restrictions are also an opportunity where we collaborate more openly through internet, and then seeing cross-country teams from Europe working together. I think that would be a dream.
Excellent. You're a great ambassador, all of you. So Sal, just to keep with the time.
Yeah, very, very quickly. And thank you so much, Johan. Thank you so much for FERD, for the fantastic support of the FERD'S list. I heard different things today. I heard that, yes, we are still very fragmented in Europe, and this could be an obstacle to those tech unicorns to grow and have more tech unicorns across. But this is actually the purpose of having initiatives like JA and the FERD'S list. There is a part that is about learning from role models. There is a part about sharing, and today we have shared a lot of initiatives and how rewarding it is for a JA alumni also to be part of the FERD list. And there is the third part, which is let's move also on the collaboration, because when it comes to collaborating, new idea comes and we are able to impact more and to inspire more. So thank you so much, everyone, and I look forward to the next webinars.